Did you know that around 18,000 police departments across America rely on Ford as their go-to vehicle? And what's fascinating is that automakers won't tell us exactly how much they sell to the police. However, Ford boasts that it has captured around 67% of the market. General Motors and Fiat Chrysler make up the rest. A big reason why Ford owns such a large share is their Police Interceptor utility vehicle, which is a souped-up police version of the popular Explorer SUV. This bad boy alone makes up half of all new police cars sold in America. But other automakers are catching on too, mimicking what regular customers do with their own vehicles by switching to more practical and spacious SUVs. For those who don't know, police departments utilize a variety of vehicles for law enforcement purposes. They have normal patrol cars that you see on the streets every day, unmarked ones so they can catch bad guys by surprise, and special vans or trucks for specific missions. Some even ride motorcycles. However, there's also been some drama because some departments have acquired military-style equipment which not everyone agrees with. But most of the time, cops drive modified versions of normal cars anyone could buy. It's interesting to think about what kind of vehicle a cop would need in certain situations, right? Maybe motorcycle cops are better suited for chases through busy cities, whereas SUVs may be more practical when dealing with bigger groups at once. Who knows? And you might be surprised to learn that when cops need new cars, they follow a special government process, where they ask for bids from at least 3 dealers. The contract goes to the lowest bid, usually, but there can be exceptions if the car is rare or only available from one source. But in 1899, an electric car was made by Collins Buggy Company specifically designed for law enforcement officers in Akron, Ohio, with siren gong lights and stretcher too. It cost $2,400, quite pricey back then. Its top speed was 18 miles per hour, and it could travel up to 30 miles on one charge. Interesting fact, this vehicle's first job was picking up an intoxicated man off the street who drank way too much alcohol. Later on, though, someone pushed this pioneering cruiser into a canal. How mysterious. Ford changed the game when they created a brand new type of car just for cops called the Interceptor back in 1951. And can you guess how many Ford cop cars are being used in America's biggest cities? Well, a whopping 58 out of every 100 police vehicles are Ford. In 1983, Ford surprised everyone once again by introducing a new version of its Crown Victoria sedan called the Interceptor. This big car was roomy and spacious, perfect for taxi drivers who wanted to give their passengers plenty of legroom. But that's not all. There was also a special type of Mustang made just for police officers from the early 80s until the early 90s. On top of that, Chevy had its popular sedan called the Caprice. Believe it or not, some versions even came with Corvette engines inside. From 1986 up until it got discontinued in 1996, this car reigned supreme as one people loved to drive around town. But back in the day, police departments had their fair share of SUVs and pickup trucks. However, these vehicles were usually designated for special purposes rather than patrolling duties. As time went on, Americans started moving away from sedans and coupes towards sports utility vehicles and crossovers, leading to a spike in police-branded SUV usage throughout the country as well. Advancements in vehicle manufacturing played a role too, making patrol cars more popular. One driving factor behind this transition was that standard passenger cars began getting smaller, while law enforcement agencies continued packing increasingly advanced equipment into their squad cars' interiors. But have you wondered why more and more people are choosing SUVs over other vehicles? Well, it's no surprise, really. They offer more room inside than other types of vehicles and have some extra perks like being easy to get in and out of. But here's the catch. There are also downsides to driving an SUV that come down mostly to simple science. So let's take a closer look at what makes these beasts tick. Did you know that regular cars like sedans actually have some pretty cool advantages over bigger vehicles like SUVs and trucks? For one thing, their shape makes them more stable and easier to drive than those other types of rides. That means they're safer at high speeds, which could be super important in crazy situations like a police chase or an emergency response. But cars have changed a lot over the years. One big change is how they're built. In the past, cars had a frame that was separate from their body, kind of like bones and skin in our bodies. But now, car makers use something called unibody construction, where the frame and body are all one piece. At first, only regular cars used unibody construction, while SUVs and trucks stuck to using frames for extra strength. But eventually, car builders got better at making things strong and light, so even bigger vehicles could be made with just one-piece construction too. This new way of building gives cars more stability, which means safer rides for us humans inside them. Plus, it saves weight because there's no need for extra metal holding everything together. Just think about your own skeleton. It holds you up without being super heavy. Now, you must be wondering why car makers preferred unibody construction for their vehicles. Well, it's because this type of construction offers multiple benefits over body-on-frame. Firstly, it makes cars lighter, which means they can go further on less fuel and perform better overall. Second, the unibody design makes the vehicle easier to handle and maneuver like a breeze. Lastly, due to its integrated structure, these types of cars have improved capabilities in absorbing impact during a crash, making them safer for passengers inside. As a result, nowadays, many big cars, including SUVs, are made with unibody construction. That makes them feel more like driving a regular car instead of a monster truck. But even though they might seem similar to sedans in some ways, there are still things that make these SUVs special and different. Because they're usually higher and have their weight higher up off the ground, they can be trickier to drive than lower to the ground sedans. Kind of like trying to balance on stilts versus walking normally. Have you ever wondered why police SUVs are different from the ones that regular people drive? Well, automakers make sure to tune them specially. For instance, vehicles like the Ford Police Interceptor Utility and Chevrolet Tahoe Police Pursuit Vehicle sit lower on their wheels than normal cars. They also have brakes and suspension custom-tailored for improved performance during emergencies. Another thing about these big SUVs is they consume so much fuel. It's not just because of all the extra equipment inside, they're just naturally less efficient when it comes down to gas mileage. And then, in October of 2019, Ford shared some exciting news about a new hybrid version of the Interceptor Utility, which is a favorite car used by police officers. It wasn't long before people started to get interested in this cool new model. Almost 1 out of every 5 orders for the 2020 car was for the fancy hybrid type. This sweet ride was first shown off back in January as being the perfect and eco-friendly choice for cops who have to chase after speeders all day and night on patrols around town. Now, you must be thinking about its advantages, and let me tell you, the cool and fancy Interceptor utility car has amazing fuel efficiency. It saves lots of money because it needs less gas to run. You can drive for 24 miles with a single gallon of gas. That's much better than the older version that had a big gasoline engine, which was not so good at saving energy. And guess what? Police departments also love this Interceptor because they save up to $5,700 per vehicle every year on fuel costs alone. Imagine how many more things they could buy or do with all those extra bucks. These savings are based on driving about 20,000 miles each year, just like you would if you used your car often enough. And then the big police departments like the NYPD in New York City are working on a huge project to switch up their cars and make them much better for our planet. They want all 10,000 of their cop cars to either be hybrid, that means it works on both gas and electricity, or just electric. This is going to save so much money and help keep our environment safe. NYC cops have over 36,000 officers. That's a lot of people driving around in patrol vehicles every day. We can't wait to see how this big change will turn out. But hold on a minute, there's more to the hybrid Interceptor utility than just using less gas and saving money. This amazing vehicle also has better strength, speed, and safety features that makes it perfect for police departments. Ford worked together with law enforcement experts to create a hybrid SUV that can handle intense chases at high speeds while keeping officers safe. Did you know that all police cars, whether they're SUVs or not, have special features that make them faster and stronger? These upgrades help the vehicles perform their duties better when chasing bad guys. Police use these cars every day for 2 to 3 years before getting new ones because of how often they're on duty. It's important for our officers' safety. Plus, they've got better cooling systems so the engines won't overheat, and stronger alternators to handle all the power needed for lights, radios, and computers. What's neat is they put special seats in these cars that make it way easier for cops to get in and out of them. And if someone tries something crazy when positioned at the back seat, there are plates on the front side of those seats stopping people from putting their hands through. Plus, bulletproof panels on either side give extra protection while driving fast or being chased after. There are a bunch of different types of equipment used, like lighting, but how many models come with super sleek, low-profile lighting built right into where you'd expect like visors or even spoilers? Crazy, huh? And another interesting feature is that some cars have cameras that can record everything happening inside the car and in front of it as well. In 2020, Ford came up with another cool system for their police cars called Police Perimeter Alert, which keeps them super safe. The car is fitted with motion sensors that can monitor an area of 270 degrees and extend about 80 feet away. If the system detects any unusual movements or activity, it turns on the rear camera in the car and sends out audible alerts to let everyone know what's going on. It even rolls up all windows automatically and locks every door immediately. Inside this amazing vehicle, there are fancy displays that show trails of movement so officers can keep track easily. Not only that, but Ford is looking after people during these strange times too. They've just debuted some new software updates in 2020 aimed at dealing with COVID-19 exposure inside vehicles. This involves raising cabin temperatures very high, like using your sauna, but instead making sure everything gets sterilized completely within 15 minutes. Did you know that when an organization like the government or a car rental company needs vehicles, they buy them from automakers? This is called fleet sales, and it doesn't make up much of an automaker's total sales. But even though it's not as common, Ford has been serving law enforcement for a long time with their police interceptor vehicles. One popular model in this category is the Police Interceptor Utility, which looks kind of similar to the regular old Ford Explorer we see on the road. The cool thing about this vehicle is that because SUVs were becoming more popular than traditional cars at one point, its bigger size was perfect for cops while still being smaller than other big police SUVs out there. Chevrolet also makes cars for police officers called police vehicles. They have one named the Tahoe, which can store a lot of things in the back like 70 big boxes. This is better than their closest competitor's car. However, there is another car made by Ford that also has good things about it and was determined to be faster than others by testing done by some people from Michigan State who know what they're talking about. It's important to remember, though, that other companies besides just Ford make cars for cops too, like General Motors and Fiat Chrysler. Both have trucks and SUVs especially built for them as well, so competition between these different makers exists. But in 2019, Ford had a problem where they sold less of their Interceptor utility car. They only sold 18,752 units, which is much lower than the previous year. This was because they were changing to a new design for the Interceptor utility car, but hoped that sales would be better in late 2020. I want you guys to know that even though Ford made this new type of police car in 2012, other cars like the Dodge Charger still did very well, especially since big groups like the California Highway Patrol preferred them. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like it. You can also share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.